the stroke burdens. As you know, the LAU Medical Center has the first stroke center of its kind in the whole region. And then a topic on the time spent by children on tablets and screens, taking care of your skin with Dr. Zena Tannous. And last but not least, a very interesting talk about the impact of nurses on health economics with our renowned Dr. Mirna Doumet. Our talk for today features Dr. Ali Ammouri, a practice lecturer at the School of Engineering at the Department of Industrial and Mechanical Engineering. Ali is a holder of a PhD in mechanical engineering, and he's a publisher of more than 50 manuscripts between journals and conferences. Dr. Ammouri has extensive hands-on experience in, I'm going to read that, in instrumentation, programming, modeling, product development. And he is known for delivering innovative solutions to interesting and challenging engineering problems. He is also known for his passion for e-learning and the use of technology in education. This is why he developed a new blended learning approach and a course with integrated gamification, which is a great motivator for students to learn. And this is exactly the topic for today. I have actually met Ali while he was presenting something similar to today's webinar around last year. It was quite interesting. So without further ado, Ali, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Sharbel, for the introduction, and welcome all to this webinar. So I'm really excited to share with you, as Sharbel said, my experience with the gamification and its impact on our engineering students at the School of Engineering at LAU. So let me first share my screen. All right, so I will try to make this presentation as interactive as possible because as you will see during the presentation, I'm not only going to talk about gamification itself, but also about other tools that we are using at the School of Engineering in order to improve the student motivation and interaction during classes. So for this, since we're going to make it interactive, let's start with a small game. So please go to this website, www.menti.com, and use this following code. So while you're doing so, if you are on your computers right now, you can use your phone to go to this website. And if you are on your phones, you can minimize the webinar and open a new web page in order to log in. So this will be an example of some simple type of gamification that can be used by any faculty, whether at schools or higher education, in order to add some taste to their classes, in order for them to have some sort of competitiveness between the students. So this, as you're going to see in today's webinar, will improve the interaction between the students and the material, so they will love it in a better way. So I will log in now to the actual website. Okay, so right now we have 19 participants. So I'll be waiting like for 1 minute before I start with the game. So this game, just to give you an introduction, it's some sort of like simple questions and answers. You don't need to know about a lot of things. It's just some questions and answers. I'm going to start by like 2 introductory questions that will so that you know that how you deal with the platform. So we'll ask questions. There is no correct or wrong answers over here. So don't. Okay, so there's no correct or wrong answer. Correct or wrong answers. Just answer whatever whatever comes to your mind. So right now we have 1/3 of the participants are already logged in. So I will start right now. You can still log in, and you'll be able to participate in the game. All right. So these are the instructions. I will first start with 2 warm-up questions. There, as I mentioned, there's no right or wrong answers in these. The first question is a word cloud. So here we use these types of questions in order to start to break the ice, to start the conversation with the students. And the second one is a multiple choice. So please type in your names and join the game right now. Okay. So this will be our first question. The first question is, what do you think this presentation is about? So if you type in your names right now, and log in with your, you can start typing some answers over here that will appear on the screen. All right, so the type of icebreaker that we use, yes, of course, this is about gamification and learning. It is about e-learning, about the fun activities that we can do in class in order to see how we can improve the user interaction of the students to make them more motivated. So these types of questions are anonymous, so I don't know who answered these things. So this is, okay, yeah, so that's right. So for now, I'm gonna go to the second question, which is a multiple choice question. And this is the question that you see over here. This is another type of questions that we use in this platform, which is we can group the, okay. So this question is, do you think gamification can be applied in higher education? So this is what we're going to be answering in today's lecture. I'm gonna show you what we have done so far and the results, and then you can decide on your own. All right, so now get ready to the actual competition. So these are all the players, so get ready for the quiz. Here you'll be asked 3 multiple choice questions, every question at a time. And if you answer correctly, you will gain 15 points. And if you do not answer correctly, you will, if you answer correctly, you get 15 points, wrong answer, 0 points. But there's a catch here. If you answer, the first one who answers will get the highest point. So let's get started. All right. So answer fast for more points. Are you ready? So which game involves pocket monsters? So far we have got 34 for these answers. And 3, 2. And the correct answer is, of course, Pokemon. So we have 31 correct answers. So let's see who answered correctly. So here you'll see we have a leaderboard. Remember this because we're going to mention it multiple times. And the one who answered fastest got the highest point. So we have a tie between 2 participants. So now let's get to the second question. All right, which of the following is a tile matching puzzle game? So once again, the same answers as before, but here the correct answer is one of my favorite games. And 1. All right, of course it's Tetris, because Candy Crush is not about tile. Okay, yeah. So this is a little bit deceiving. Yes, the correct answer is Tetris. Now, what will happen in these type of games is that the correct answers will be combined together from the other questions. So we can combine multiple questions together. So now we have a winner, and the winner is Yusur with 19.05 points. Congratulations. All right. So this is one of examples of gamifications that we can use. This is a simple tool that you can use in your classes in order to add some sort of competitiveness between the students. Okay, so now let's get back to our presentation. Now, by the way, I've included a soft copy of this presentation. There's an interactive copy of this presentation that you can access. If you go to the website or you scan this with your this QR code throughout your phones, you'll be able to access the interactive content of the webinar. So what I mean by interactive content, if you log into this website, I'll give you 1 minute to copy the website, you'll be able to see what our students are seeing in these types of presentations. So we do not have the conventional PowerPoint presentations anymore, at least in my classes. I use these types of presentations that are more lively, that will give, you're gonna see it. So this is the website. If you didn't have the chance to catch it, you can check this afterwards. So this is the website, and I'm gonna be moving now to the other slide. All right, so I grew up in the early 90s playing this Super Mario on my on our Nintendo home computer with my brother, and if you remember what was the purpose of this game, the purpose of this game was to reach the end of the level in order to save the princess. And the disappointment was that at the end of each level, the princess was in a different castle. So the princess was taken hostage, and you have to you can only rescue it until you get to the final stage. So whenever you play Mario, if you have ever played Mario, if you play Mario for the first time, you will meet the first character that you will encounter is called Goomba. So this character Goomba, you will learn that if you touch this character Goomba, you will die. Okay, so and you will get instant feedback. So as soon as you touch it, you will die. So you have received instant feedback. Remember this. Once you receive this instant feedback, if you play this game again, the next time you will learn, after you have failed, you will learn that you have to jump over this character or jump on top of his head in order to survive. So by failing, you have learned something. That's an important thing to remember. After that, so this is the first lesson, jump over the Goomba. After the second lesson that you will learn, if you jump inside a pit, you will also die. So by falling into the pit, you have learned that you should jump just with the right speed and at the right timing before the pit in order to survive the pit. So at the end, if you master these skills, which is the mainly jumping skills, how to jump and how to maneuver and how to dash, you'll be able to reach the end of the game. So this is the second lesson: jump before you hit the pit. So by repetitive learning, when you repeat these levels multiple times, fail and repeat it, at the end you'll be able to beat all the levels and reach the final stage. So by this type of repetitive learning, with the instant feedback that you get, you can actually learn something. And by learning something, so the last time I played Mario, it's maybe like 30 years ago or 20 something years ago. But right now, if I go ahead and play this game again, it will take me some time just to remember the mechanics, but eventually I have retained some of the knowledge while I learned how to play this game. So the question is, can we apply this method of learning through repetitive failure in education? Well, yes, of course we can. So there's a concept that's called freedom to fail. When we allow our students to fail while they are learning, you will be able to teach them some important lessons. So if you remove the burden of the students, you allow them to fail without the fear of losing points, you can actually teach the students while they are having fun. Right, so this is what we are going to see in today's lecture. We're going to see how we can apply gamification in education in order for you to benefit and make learning a fun experience. All right, so now I will switch to the actual interactive lecture that I told you about. So this is a sample of the interactive lecture that you can check offline after you finish this presentation. This is an interactive environment. So the students will log into their learning management system, Blackboard. This is what we use at LU. And after that, they can participate in this presentation. You can also do this if you have already logged into the presentation. So this is some information about me, how to contact me if you would like to know further information about this. This is what I meant by interactive. Here you see these are called flipboards. When you click on these flipboards, you'll be able to visualize what's behind it. So we can use this, for example, as a game of guessing. The students can guess what's behind it. So this is my contact information. You can check it offline. All right, so let's start with the actual topic. So what is this gamification? The term gamification has been around since like 2008, but it caught momentum around 2010. The term gamification, the definition of it is when we apply game design elements and game principles in non-game contexts, such as in learning, during jobs, in jobs itself, in internships. All these things can have gamification elements. So what do you mean by these game design elements? So these are the ones that you see here on screen. These are some examples of the game design elements. Points, whether it's experience points, health points, mana points, any point system that the students can gain while they are playing is considered to be a gamification, a part of gamification. This is part of the game design elements. The badging system is also another type of game design elements. So for example, if the student finish these 5 levels, he will get a badge for finishing the beginner's mode. And badges could be either visual representations or ranks. For example, what's the current rank? Are you first? Are you, for example, beginner, advanced, expert? So this is another thing, which is the badges. leaderboards is another important aspect. In my opinion, it's one of the most important aspects in gamification in the game design elements. So this will rank players according to their relative success. So as you have seen in the game that we have just played, when you see yourself advancing on the leaderboard, you will be able to you will feel some sort of competition. And as you're going to see also in what happened during my course, you will see how the students started to compete with other students just for the sake of gaining more points, and without me asking them how to do these things. Sometimes leaderboards have some negative effects, but with proper implementation, it can be overcome. Avatars, also other game design elements. For example, if you have a visual representation that would represent the student or the player, or nicknames, these are also some of the game design elements. So if you incorporate these design elements in your educational system, you can be considered to be doing some gamification. Now, this is something that's not new. Gamification is not new. It has been applied in almost every aspect of life, from marketing to health to workplace. Even the military, some of them have some sort of gamification in their recruitment processes. Crowdsourcing, another term of allowing people from all around the world to solve problems by playing a game, as well as in education. Also, if you remember when we talked here about points, we already in education use some sort of game design elements, because the GPA itself is a system of ranking of points. So we already use this. Not only that, when during graduation, when you hear that someone has with distinction, with high distinction, these are sort of badges or ranks that also correspond to some gamified elements. So for the students, for them to get to this badge, which is high distinction, or to be put on the dean's list, they have to work hard to get to that. But these are things that the students need to work a lot in order to get to it at the end. With gamified game elements, when you gamify your course, you will see that these things will bring a lot of improvements, and will bring a lot of motivation to the students, and with every assignment that they will be working with. Yeah, but someone might ask, but why gamification? Is this does it have actual improvements in your education system? Of course it does. Research have shown that gamification will improve the engagement of the students, whether students or employees, because they will motivate them through the competitions and the rewards. It will also, the instant feedback. This is one of the most important aspects of some of the gamification of the game design elements. When you have instant feedback, the students will get a response to their work immediately after they submit it. They don't need to wait, like, let's say 1 week for me to correct their assignments until they get the feedback that is needed. So you're going to see how this applies. Another important thing is that it will boost the productivity in the workplace. So with the reward system, if you have a reward system, students will try to deliver things on time. For example, in my course, I do not tell the students that if you do not deliver on time, you will get penalty points. What I tell them, if you deliver before time, if you deliver before the deadline of the assignment, by every day you deliver it before, you'll get bonus points. So for the reward, that productivity will be boosted. They will not leave everything till the end until they do it. Another important thing is the learning retention. This is what I mentioned. Right now I can know how to play Mario again if I practice a little bit. So gamification will deliver the content to you with experience, and so that you'll be able to retain knowledge in a better place. So let's see how can this be actually implemented. Let's look at the actual case study that I will be presenting today. So I've applied the gamification to the course that's called the Computer-Aided Design course. This is a course that we teach at the School of Engineering at LU. This was a very good candidate for gamification because it contains a hands-on experience. The students actually need to learn how to use a software. So let me just take you briefly about what this course covers and see how did I apply the gamification elements into this course. This is, by the way, another example of some of the interactive content. So the course goes through the numerical design chain. It will teach the students how to design things. And this is done using the Solidworks software. This is a 3D modeling software where the students learn how to draw 3D objects, similar to the animated cartoons, but it's not actual animation, it's more mechanical components. So they will start by learning computer-aided design. This is the most gamified compartment of the course. They will learn how to draw 3D objects. After that, they will learn how to do something that's called computer-aided engineering, which is doing some to study whether the part will fail or not under the working conditions. They will study if the part is sustainable or not, and after that, they will learn how to machine this part. But I don't want to go into the details of this. Let's look at how the course was structured before gamification and what happened after the gamification. So the course was the conventional active learning. So it was a face-to-face lecture. So I will go to the lecture time. I will describe what the students need to do during the lecture, as well as what they have to do during the lab time. We have 3 exams and a project and a weekly assignment. So imagine in a class of 80, every week I'm receiving 80 assignments that I need to correct. So with the 14 weeks that we have across the semester, this will be 1,200 assignments. So this is a lot of assignments, but this is not a big deal. You'll know why. Now, after the gamification of this course, after its change using the techniques that we did, we change it into a hybrid learning environment. The first thing is by having some interactive lectures, similar to the one that you are witnessing right now. So as well as interactive lab content modules. This will help the students study on their own, because as you will see, I'm going to give you an example in one of the sessions that contains video demonstrations, tutorials. This is the hybrid learning process. And the other part is the gamification of the assignments. So at the very first beginning, when I go to the class, I do not tell the students, I tell the students, okay, listen, in this class, you do not have assignments. You will be playing a game which is called the game of CAD. This is the GOC. So when you're playing this game of CAD, you are allowed to repeat the assignment as many times as you want. Why? Because remember, Mario, the purpose of Mario game is to reach the end of the game, is to save the princess. No matter how many times you fail, I do not care how many times you fail, as long as you gain the experience needed in order to finish the required task. So in our case, I told the students, I want you to learn how to use this SolidWorks software. So I don't care how many times you repeat the assignment, as long as you do it in a proper way. And you will see the results later. And above and beyond, I told them, okay, if you finish all these requirements, you'll be allowed to sit for an actual certification exam, and you will be certified by SolidWorks. So you'll receive an official certification. To qualify for this, you have to finish the course requirements with a certain level and ranking. All right, so let's see what were the results. And another thing, this is I just before I go to the results, let me show you an example of my Blackboard platform. So this is the Blackboard is the learning management system that we use. I made it as simplistic as possible. So when you first log into the course, you don't need to worry about where do I need to go. Everything is in front of you. You go to the lectures, to the lab, to the syllabus, to the quiz, and so on. Let me give you an example of one of the lectures. This is the CAD/CAM course. These are all the lectures that the students can have access to. So if you go, for example, to this lesson, the students will go through an introduction. They will be asked about the type of the motion studies. I can select whether the students have to guess it correctly before they continue. This is an example of an embedded video where I'm explaining how do they do animation in SolidWorks, and several videos. What I'm trying to tell you is that if you have PowerPoint presentations or PDF presentations for the students, they will never have the experience that they will get from such an interactive content. So this is very important, especially if you're trying to move into such the domain of applying such techniques in your design studies. By the way, I will take this opportunity to tell you that at LAU we have the Center of Innovative Learning, where you can learn how to do these things if you want to incorporate it into your course. Currently, we have a call for the fall semester. So if you want to apply such things, and if you are a LAU faculty, you can benefit from these lessons at the Center of Innovative Learning. Okay, so this is another example of how do they use the software. This is once again interactive content. They can click on each item of the software to see how it operates. Here I included a file that they should download and solve an assignment, and sometimes you can include embedded assignments. If they do not successfully complete this file, they cannot progress to the second part of the lectures. This is also another example of an interactive lecture where they learn how to use how to do a simple animation. And I'm not going to go through this. These are 3 extra tutorials. And once again, this is another example of how they do basic motion. Once again, assessment and so on. All right. So at the end, you can also include some examples of assessments, as you're going to see in one of the examples. Maybe here, this one. Oh, not this one. Okay. So let me go back to the presentation. So this is an example of the interactive content. And how were the assignments gamified? The assignments were gamified using a software that we developed in-house at the School of Engineering. So it's a game that the students will log in. I will show you a demonstration at the end of this presentation. So the students will log into the game. They will start at level 0. Let me just show it to you right now. Why wait? Okay, so I will log in with my ID. The students will use their university IDs to log in. So after they log in, they will be taken to the portal of the game where they will have the challenges available for them to load. They have soundtracks that they can switch to. You start at level 1 with 0 experience points. The only levels that you can do are these 3 levels: level 1, level 2, and level 3. So what the students should need to do is that they have to load this. They have to load the challenge. So they have to draw this part. So let me open the software to show you how this software will work. So first of all, we have something that's called adaptive release. You cannot do all the levels. You can only do the levels that you are allowed to do. All right, so right now I opened the software where I will be working with the requirements of this assessment. So I need to draw this part. So I will start a new part. Okay. Then I will go ahead and try to draw the required part. Okay, so I will start with a new sketch. So I will draw something similar to what, and I will intentionally not draw it properly to show you what do I mean by instant feedback. So the students will be drawing this part, and after they draw the part, they will go to the software and they will submit their work. Right now it will, okay. They will submit your work. The software will check what the students have done, and it will analyze the results, and it will give them instant feedback. They will like, okay, you scored 16. I did a very bad job in drawing this part. So it will tell them what the bad thing that they have done. So you have sketch entities. You will get a summary of these results to your email, and this is what's meant by instant feedback. Right now, I will be taken back to my initial window. I haven't gained any experience points because I failed this challenge. So the student can now go, and given that they knew what's the wrong thing that they have done, they will repeat this challenge, and next time they will get to it with the proper, they will learn how to do it, similar to the way that you learned how you need to jump above the pit in Mario, and they will be able to deliver the requirements. Another important aspect of what we are talking about here, so these are the challenges. You have to gain XP in order to achieve in the ranks. We have leaderboards. So if I go here to the leaderboards, this will show you where is your progress compared to your other colleagues. So right now, these are the current students that I have. I have these 40 students. So this is the number of experience points that they are ranked by. This is for the first sketch. It will tell you which student finished this sketch in the fastest way possible. So this is 33 seconds, 36 seconds, and so on. So why these leaderboards? Because I told them, okay, listen, I want you to learn how to, I want you to learn how to, the experience needed to draw this part. But if you do it in a fast way and you score the highest grade with the fastest speed, you will get extra points. So instead of getting 200 experience points, you'll get 250 experience points, and this will be reflected in your grades, on your grades. So what happened is that students started to participate, started to repeat the challenge 1 and 10 and 3 and 10 times in order to repeat, to achieve the requirements. So imagine, I'm not asking the students to do the assignments. They are doing it on their own without the need or for me to push them and do the assignments. I told them, okay, for you to do the first assessment, you have to be at level 5. So if you are not at level 5, you will not be able to do the assessment and so on. So, and as in the grades that you will get on this course, I told them, you will start with 100 points. This is your health points. As you do assessments, you might get something wrong, you will start losing points. However, you can get extra points doing this ranking at the first of the leaderboards. You will be able to gain extra points. So this is what motivated the students. Once again, we also had an interactive tutorial on how to use the software, what's the idea behind the software, and how to use it, and so on. So everything in this interactive content. All right. So this is regarding the. Okay, let me just switch to the results. This is the game. Okay, so now what are the results? Did we end up doing a fun activity for the students? Were they able to achieve the required, was gamification helpful? Let's look at this. The first time I applied this was during the fall semester with a pilot study. I started with a very small class that was given with 10 students only. So throughout the semester, the total number of games that were played was around 935 games. So on average, every student submitted 90 assignments. Every student submitted 90 assignments compared to only 15 that you had to do, that they had to do before. The total time spent was around 120 hours, with around 11 hours per student. And the challenges were, every challenge was repeated around 3 times. This is for the pilot study, but this is not the important finding that I want to show you. For the full scale run, this is the semester that was just concluded. I installed the game only on the computers at the university labs. So I had 40 students. The game was only installed at the university PCs, so the students were not able to download the games on their computers. So they were only able to play the game on the university PCs. Why is this? You will know in a minute. So the total number of games that were played throughout the semester was how much? Only around, not this one, sorry. Okay, yes, that's good. This is for the first week only. With the first week, you know that when we first start the university during the first week, we do not give assignments. We do not even have lab sessions as well. So without me telling the students to do the assignments, I received 350 submissions on the game. So imagine you receive 300, you need to correct 350 assignments, right? So that's for the first 5 days only. 10 games per player. The total time spent was around 45 minutes per students, and the challenge was repeated 3 times. So this is only through over a period of 5 days without even me telling them to solve anything. This is for the first 5 days only. For the full scale run, I had around 3,600 games. That's how much assignments you receive. So imagine you need to correct 3,651 games. Every player played around 991 games, with a total time spent per player around 15 hours. So this is around 1 hour per week. But this is not an actual number. You will see why in a minute. So, and every challenge was similar to all the pilot studies, was repeated 3 times. But remember, when I plotted the number of games that were played across this semester, you see that during the first month, there was around 2,800, around 3,000 games. So these 3,651 games, like 90% or 8% of them were only during the first month before COVID-19. So after COVID-19, we stopped for around like 2 or 3 weeks until we managed to give the students remote access to the computer labs. After we gave them, they started back on March 23rd. They started to play some games. So 100 assignments per week, 128, 50, 130, and so on. So imagine what would be the scenario if this was not, we did not have this COVID-19 situation, or if the students had the opportunity to download the game on their laptops. So that's a logistic thing that they were not allowed to do it on their laptops. So this is for another talk. If you have other questions related to this, I can answer it afterwards. Now let me get you to this plot. So this plot shows how much percentage of the repetitions. So I told you here we have 3,651 games. 30% of these assignments were failed assignments. So the students did not score a passing grade on them. So I'm glad to see that this happened. So students actually failed. And after that, they did not repeat it once, but they repeated every game twice. Remember, I have 3 repetitions. So 66% pass. So what does this mean? The student first failed, then he repeated the assignment, he got a score, then he repeated again to improve his score. For me, I only want him to learn the experience. And this is the beauty of what's happening here. The students learn the experience. How can we measure this? This is what you're going to see in a minute. So this plot shows you the number of repetitions per challenge. I intentionally included this as well to show you that some levels were repeated 250 times, not 3 times. This is 250 times by all the students. So these are, by the way, the complexity of the challenges increase as you go higher in the level. That's why you have more repeats at the beginning, because these are challenges that will end in no time, whereas the challenges here actually will take sometimes 30 or sometimes 45 minutes to finish. Will be finished in less than a minute. So that's why you have this high number of repetitions across these challenges. All right, so this is for the interaction. And during the first month, I had the joy of going through the corridors of our computer labs. And while walking through the corridors, I would look through the window and to see some of our students, some of my students working on the game on its own, trying to achieve a higher level. So this something brought joy to me while doing this. Okay, so this is to answer our question, did this actually have an improvement on the students' performance? So what you see here, I have plotted the performance of the students on the assessment where they be tested for this since 2015. So I've been given this course like for 6 or 7 years right now. So this is the data that you see. The average for the students was between 65 and around 77 throughout these 6 or 7 years. But take this with a grain of salt, because I will tell you what happened here in a minute. For this semester, the average grade was around 91. This is what was the average grade on the assessment for this when gamification was applied. But this was not only due to the gamification, but due to also applying another gamification principle to the assessment. I told the students, okay, listen, this is a gamified course. I want you to learn the experience. I want to test whether you have actually learned the experience by giving you a complex problem that you need to solve with a limited time. So this limited time is like a take-home exam. They have 6 hours to finish it, so they can do like 2 trials. So what the students ended up doing this assessment, and they were able to they had the ability to repeat this assessment another time. So I do not know if they actually repeated, but that's why I told you take this with a grain of salt. For me, the learning has been achieved because my students were able to learn the experience, to gain the experience needed in this software. They were able to design things up to the standards that I put, and their performance was up to the high standards that I wish to do. Now, this is so far. I'm planning also to take this one step forward by applying some of the things that you see over here. I will switch all the interactive experience to one platform, which is the game itself. So I don't want the students to go switch between going to the game then going to the interactive lecture. I want the lectures to be built in as levels or quests within the game. So the student need to finish the lecture. Once they finish the lecture, they can now do, for example, level 1 or level 2. If they fail multiple levels, it will tell them, okay, now you need to go ahead and do this lecture again before you go ahead and try to do the assessment for one more time. So also once another things, so I will try to have some embedded tutorials into the session and add some other gaming elements such as badges, inline quizzes, and so on. All right. So this is regarding my experience with gamification, and I will finish by showing you some of the interactive content that the students will do during doing the lecture. So this is an assessment type. So here the students need to sort the activities, whether this is a gamification element or not a gamification element. So virtual reality, this is not a gamification. Experience points is. Leader points, this is type of this. This is not. I know these things. Okay, so I've checked the questions and answers right now. I've added the link if you want to check whether, if you want to check the interactive content. I will leave this for a couple of minutes here. And there are no other questions right now. Okay, sorry, I was muted by mistake. So now I'm unmuted myself. Okay, what language and frameworks were used to build the game of CAD? Okay, the software that I used to build the game of CAD was LabVIEW. So this is a long story. Now, since I love SolidWorks, I don't like SolidWorks, and I love LabVIEW, I ended up merging both by doing this game of CAD. So that's the programming environment. What will be the role of the instructor if the course was switched totally into the game? No, this is the beauty of, okay, this is, in online courses, you have multiple types of online platforms that you can work with, multiple scenarios. For example, you can have a totally asynchronous, where the students will do the webinar, do the recordings on their own, do the challenges on their own. But there's also the synchronous part. So if this was to be an online course, as in the offline course, what we will do, what we will benefit from this is that you will have more time to focus on more case studies. For example, the students will learn how to do the modeling on their own, but when it comes to advanced problems, I will have more time to do such advanced problems during the class. So this is the role of the instructors will always be to help the students whenever they are facing anything that they cannot do. But yes, as you mentioned, if I make the game as I was planning to do, it will reduce the burden of the correction a lot from the instructor, at least for this code, for this type of courses. By the way, this, what I showed over here, the game of CAD, this is something that's a bit of advanced, but in your courses, you don't need to go into this depth for you to apply gamification. Because as I mentioned in the presentation that you can check using this link, you can apply other gaming elements. Blackboard, by the way, if you use Blackboard, they also have achievements and that you can use. So you can use these achievements as gamifiable elements that you can help in order to improve the students' motivation. You can have other tools that you can use for online education, such as using the forums. This will also help as well. All right. So I hope this answered the question. How can this be implemented for elementary teachers who are not very tech savvy? Are there any specific? Yeah, of course. If you have attended the beginning of this session, there are several tools that you can use for elementary schools. This Mentimeter, the Mentimeter is one of them. There's another online platform that's called Kahoot. You can use these for interactive contents. By the way, here if I go to the let me just show you here. Here I can export the results that I got from here. And based on this, I can reward the students by giving them extra points and by giving them extra points into their grades. And this will also be another motivation. So it doesn't have to be an advanced software that's developed for a specific case. You can use tools similar to the one that you have over here. All right. So someone is asking if we have certificate for this webinar, and Charbel answered. So for this type of webinar, there are no certificates. Okay. Any other questions? For a School of Pharmacy, can interactive virtual patient case simulations be considered as gamified element? Yes, of course, this can be considered gamified. Because as I mentioned, one of the applications of gamification, it's applied in military in training employees. You can have a set of, for example, if you have a patient case, I don't know if you're referring to this by the actual dummy where the students can, where the med students can actually do some tests on that. But yes, there are some things that you can incorporate in med school or other things to be considered as gamified elements. For example, you can tell the students, okay, I want you to figure out what's wrong with this patient. And if you figure out this in a fast way, you'll be gaining more points. So not only, so this will help the student think faster. At least that's what I believe would happen, because they will be learning the experience and at the same time learning how to do it in a fast way. So maybe that's something that can be done. There are other types of simulators, by the way, where I've worked with sometime with a med doctor at the Aliu Medical Center. We're trying to do a simulator for surgery where the students can actually work with a simulated body to do a surgery, and we can incorporate some faults, so we can, this type of thing can actually be implemented. So if someone from med school would be interested in doing such things and making it a gamifiable elements, please feel free to contact me, because as Charbel mentioned, education and these types of things are my passion, but my other passion is building innovative solutions using instrumentation and control. So this is what I teach also. These are the other courses. So yes, we can actually build simulators that can be used for medical students, and it can also be gamified as well. Okay, what have you used to choose the correct answer? If you are referring to the interactive content, in the flipped, there's no correct or wrong answer with it. But in the sorting activity and the design of the tool is called Articulate, by the way. We can use that tool in order to give grades for the sorting activities, multiple choice, multiple answer, or something like this. So this can be integrated in the interactive content. Can you send the presentation by mail to us? You already have access to this presentation. These types of presentations, the interactive presentations, can only be accessed through the link. So the material will be retained by the instructor, and the students can go through it multiple times. So you can, please feel free to take a look at the material. It's already available through that link. The video for the whole webinar, I think Charbel is recording this, so I don't know when it will be available, but it is being recorded. To join the innovative course, there was a call sent by the Office of Provost. By the way, you can go to the LEU website, search for CIL, which is the Center for Innovative Learning. They have a call for the fall semester. They are accepting calls right now. So if you are interested in that, do this after you leave. How much time did it take you to develop the CAD game? Okay, this I spent my whole summer doing this. The last summer, yes. So except CAD/CAM, are there other gamified courses about engineering? So to my knowledge, this was the first gamified course that I was one of the first to enroll in the fellowship program, in the CIL program, to do this. So I was sponsored by the Center of Innovative Learning in order to do such this activity. So right now, this is the only fully gamified experience. I know that other instructors are using such tools, such simple tools, but a fully gamified experience, this is the only one. Is there an app that we can download to create the educational game for our elementary and high school? This app that was developed, as I mentioned, requires extensive programming experience. But as I mentioned, you don't need you don't need advanced tools to do gamified experiences. You can use the gamifiable elements, gamification elements that I have mentioned in this presentation. Mentimeter is one. It's Mentimeter or Kahoot. This is another one. So let me type these for you. So it's called Mentimeter. This is one. Kahoot is another tool. There's also, if I remember, there's also a fully gamified platform that you can use online. I don't remember its name. It was Classcraft, maybe. Let me check. Maybe Coursecraft. Yes. Or no. Just 1 second. Maybe not this one. I slipped my name. So please send me an email and I can forward to you a website where they actually have built an online interactive experience for a gamification that you can apply. It's especially for elementary schools, for K-12 education. Within GOC, how does the game know where you had errors? Yeah, that's the hard part of the game of CAD. So I have an algorithm that will compare what the student did and what they should do. So that's something technical. I'm not going to this. Can we use such application to teach English? Well, for gamification can be applied to any type of course, as I mentioned, but how you apply it is up to you. I gave you the tools that you can that you can use. These are just one of the two tools that you can use. Another tool, I forgot its name, the one that you use, but how you apply it, it's totally up to you. I just gave you a taste of what gamification can do to your courses, but how to apply it to other types of courses, maybe using such tools. There are a lot of measurements that can be done to prevent cheating. That's a story for another day. Pricklers? I don't know what that is. Okay, let me just. Coursecraft. Let me check this again while we are waiting for other questions. It totally slipped my mind, but if you email me, I'll be able to give you that. Can gamification have any role in library systems? I don't know what you are referring to by library systems. What do you mean by that? If you can elaborate more, maybe I can help. Okay, so this is the other website that has interactive gamification in it, that you can build interactive courses with it. It's called Classcraft. Okay, so you can go ahead and check this. They have a very nice interaction, but this is mainly for mainly for K-12 education. So the students can have quests, they can have their own avatars that they build. So it's tailored for not for higher education, but for K-12 education. So Classcraft is the one, right? So that's the one that you have. No, not Coursera. This is what I want. This is Classcraft. So if you check this one, but this is paid. I don't know if they have a free version for it. This is something that can be used as well. All right. So I will add this here. By the way, Kahoot is a tool that can be used to create quizzes and interactive content similar to Mentimeter. There's no need to buy the license. You can do, I don't mean you don't need to buy the license. There's a free version that you can use, but if you want this on an institutional level, you'll have to buy some plan. But if you have a small class and you don't have a lot of questions that you want to integrate, you just need to test this with a small quiz every time to break the ice with the students, to have them motivated. You can use these tools as well, Mentimeter and Kahoot. I don't know about Classcraft, by the way. Yes, that's the whole purpose of this, to inspire gamification, other tools that can be used to make learning fun. What's the main difference between Mentimeter and Toad? They are both offer similar services. It's up to your preference to select which one to use. They are competitors, by the way, so they have similar services. Both can do something similar. Maybe one of them can be it can be used for professional using clickers. I guess this is one advantage of one about the other, but normally it depends on your taste. For me, I stick with Mentimeter. Maybe you find Kahoot, some other instructors find Kahoot better learning, or they prefer to use it. All right, so thank you all for attendance. I hope this session was useful and inspired you to either join the School of Engineering in order to see how learning can actually be fun, or if you are an educator, maybe it will inspire you in order to apply a similar procedure in order to have your students have a better experience during their learning experience. Thank you, and if you need any other information, please contact me via email. Goodbye.